can get that thing up.
Title of my sex tape?
You wouldn't dare.
Oh, someone clearly graduated from the Moon Knight School of Fight Transitions. Glad I didn't have to waste any time sitting through a cool battle between two houses with an ancient feud.
He is the basest of villains. He sullies the grave of his brother.
I cannot fault him for keeping his oath.
Being this polite about someone who was sent to assassinate you.
Otto Hightower would never have allowed this.
Even after a season and change of this show, every time I hear Hightower, I just think of Bubba Smith from the Police Academy movies. And I'm always sad it's not him they're actually referring to. What? You know this show could use a Mahoney or a Jones. Think of all the fun dragon farting noises House of the Dragons Jones would make.
Soon they will not even remember what it was that began the war in the first place.
I can't even remember what began this conversation in the first place. I was too busy envisioning my House of the Dragon Police Academy movie, so skip.
We teeter now at the point where none of it will matter.
You're not quite at that point yet, but give me a few episodes of Daemon hallucinating in a moldy castle and I'll start to think none of the show's previous events really mattered. Meanwhile, on whatever the is going on in the mind of Kristen Cole, or what I like to refer to as I'm still wondering what season it will be when Aemon changes his name to Ernst Stavro Blofeld. Can't come soon enough because currently he is so one note, I'd rather spend more time on Kristen's journey to
Call it what you will. I call it war. The question is, what are we going to do about it?
Well, usually someone places a playing card face up, and then you choose whether or not the next card will be higher or lower. And typically some asshole won't agree that an ace should be counted as a 1 when they are dealt a king, and then all hell breaks loose. There might even be a few paper cuts. It gets really nasty, so be prepared.
And your brother Darren's dragon nears fighting age.
Teasing us with Darren. Why are you a tease, hot day? Stealing the cool coin flip between the knuckles trick from Doc Holliday and hoping we wouldn't notice. But we're TVSins. We see all. We sin all.
I'm as fearsome as any of them.
Citation needed.
I was told you turned back from your ship to bring warning.
Again, something she wouldn't have had to do at all if Sir Eric had simply done as he was told and escorted her himself instead of sticking her with some nameless guard.
They will be ruled either by you or by the usurper. And only one of you has shown yourself to be merciful.
Well, that's not true at all. Aegon tried to be merciful to a shepherd who was struggling with his flock and to blacksmiths who needed coin in advance for the war efforts. It's not his fault Otto scuttled one of those merciful efforts.
You must take the little ones further. To Pentos, I think.
When my mother died.
It is safer than anywhere in Westeros.
Unless you're pregnant, that is. The motherhood mortality stats in Pentos aren't great. I can't quite see what's happening here, but I do hear rain and Daemon's dragon. Honestly, with how dark this shot is, I'm getting flashbacks to the battle for Winterfell. And you know how we feel about Season 8 of Game of Thrones in these here parts. Sneaking, slinking, skulking, excitement. Are we about to see Batman? Finally, Warner Bros. Owning both HBO and DC pays off.
I'm claiming Harrenhal.
Did they only have the one guard? If so, I don't understand how no one else has claimed this place prior to Daemon's arrival. I'll take a broken badass castle over no badass castle at all.
Supper is venison with black cabbage and peas.
Ruining your venison and cabbage with peas.
If you've not yet surmised, you are welcome here.
Well, at least you're not going to be here too long. It's not like your ass will be parked here for the next 5 episodes to wander through hallucinations, hauntings by witches, and sex with your mom.
The answer to that is lost in time.
Ah, yes, the Maz Kanata method of storytelling, whereby you promise to reveal lore at a later time and then forget to. Classic.
We march on King's Landing and take the throne.
The throne?
It's a big chair, made of swords.
Daemon would be the smartest of smartasses at TVSins.
What a giddying ascent the gods have bestowed on you.
What some might call giddying, others like myself would instead call infuriating. There's a quiver of arrows waiting to make this man a human pincushion, and we await with bated breath for that day to arrive.
And request that she grant her favor, that her Lord Commander may go into battle with her blessings in his heart.
Not being satisfied with sharing the Queen Dowager's bed and receiving her prayers of safe travels. You needed her boob tissue as well.
They have penetrated our castle walls, and now the Riverlands are aflame after the Battle of the Burning Mill.
A battle I'm definitely glad we skipped over in 20 seconds. Yep, definitely didn't want to see a battle 3 episodes into the season.
If dragons begin fighting dragons, we invite our own destruction.
I'm pretty sure the expression is, if dragons begin fighting dragons, our budget goes up too high and David Zaslav treats the remainder of the season as a tax write-off.
This council would do well to remember that their queen wears the crown of my grandsire, Jaehaerys the Conciliator.
But just because Jaehaerys was a great ruler doesn't mean that Rhaenyra automatically is. Those two factors are not necessarily mutually exclusive.
A boy of 6 who knows nothing of the sea.
Expecting a boy of 6 to know anything about the sea.
But should all come to ruin here, you will bear our hope for the future.
Placing all that pressure on a teen girl who's already been sentenced to raise your 2 baby sons. No one will be seated as Rhaenyra kisses the tops of all her children's heads.
There are rumors that the king readies himself to fly to war.
This episode is 67% people fighting about whether or not the king should go to battle or remain where he is. I don't think the entire run of Next Generation had as much commotion about why the captain should remain on the ship than this one episode does.
Tales take on a life of their own.
They do! And sometimes that life is snuffed out of the tales because the writers are in a hurry to go to work on Star Wars. So, here's another 3 sins for whenever that might happen.
Turns out, it was her sister. No one's ever told me.
Audience doesn't see character deliver the beginning of the joke, giving the audience only the punchline as everyone laughs. Cliché.
The blood of the dragon runs through these veins, and yes, men would take my head for it.
Bragging about how many people want to kill you.
Aemon the Fierce! You have come so far.
Brothers. Also, teasing your brother about his choice in sex workers when you have repeatedly shagged your sister. Well, I'm sure that won't come back to burn Aegon in the future. Teasing me with the first dragon action in 3 episodes only to have it end in disappointment 45 seconds later. Leaving without at least trying to burn a few trees to smoke out 1 or 2 of the nights.
We must move under the trees and by cover of dark starting tonight.
Far be it for me to question things like the geography of Westeros, but are there thick lines of trees from King's Landing that stretch all the way to Harrenhal? I wasn't aware Westeros was as forested as fucking Maine.
The time for action is surely now.
Thing I said every time Daemon was on screen throughout the season somehow makes its way into the episode.
I have heard your arguments, and will consider them.
This whole episode is about considering arguments and needs to be more about dragons. I want more dragon action. Is that too much to ask? Dragons. It's in the name of the fucking show.
Always coming and going, aren't you?
Well, going I'll grant you, but we've seen evidence Daemon occasionally has trouble with the other part of that sentence.
I would speak with her, myself.
Killing her would be easier.
Staying to work for Rhaenyra because she's merciful, only to chide her for showing mercy to Alicent. Pick a lane, Massaria.
If war can be averted, it is my duty to avert it.
What exactly is Rhaenyra's plan here? To tell Alicent, hey, sorry we decapitated your grandson. Eye for an eye and whatnot. We cool now?
There are fishing boats aplenty in the bay. The city depends on them. Daemon made the journey unhindered.
Yeah, I know. And so did Tyrion and Gendry and Davos and Jaime and every fucking soul who needs to sneak into King's Landing without detection. So many people know about the cave entrance that I'm officially labeling it as a cliche. I know Rhaenyra was just told.
Most folk pay no mind to a woman who has not dressed as a queen or lured herself with the eyes of men.
But she could have at least attempted to cover up her face a little more just in case. Wow, they arrived at exactly the same time Alicent did. It's a good thing Alicent goes to the Sept to pray at the exact same time each week, and she met no delays on the ride over, and that Rhaenyra didn't encounter any bad weather sailing from Dragonstone. It's just remarkable how smoothly this last-second plan went. An Ocean's heist wouldn't have been this easy. We know this is Rhaenyra, but Alicent doesn't yet. She probably thinks this is just a Westerosi nun, which leaves me wondering if this is like the praying woman's equivalent of one man peeing at a urinal and a second guy choosing the urinal right next to his when there's an entire line of them to pick from. If so.
To seek blood and glory. But you, I know you do not have that desire within you.
She seemed pretty eager to seek blood when she wanted your son's eye gashed out and ran at him with a knife. Did you forget that part, Rhaenyra?
I am a mother too, and you have yet to answer for the murder of my son. I repudiate that act with all my heart. Of course you do.
Me. Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook are so good together. They play off of each other like lifelong rivals for power who still struggle with the fact that they were childhood friends. And I would absolutely remove a sin if the show didn't consistently keep these women apart. They're some of the best parts of this show, and yet the show hesitates to give us more of them.
I've been at times unkind, but never untrue.
Reducing your trying to gouge a child's eye out is simply being unkind.
There's been no mistake.
Well, I'll admit, as far as prequels go, this is one of the better ones so far, but we're only 1 season and 3 episodes in. Let's at least wait till season 3 to make that declaration, Alicent.
Aemon. You know what Aemon is?
You mean we know what Aemon was allowed to become without any love or support in his life from either parent?
I'm not eating that. It smells like shit.
We are laughing. Put the boundary stones back.
I said no.
Why not?
I don't want to.
You're so dark! You sure you're not from the DC universe?
And we are reminded of the perilousness of assumption.
You make an ass out of you and umption.
Killing her would be easier.
Many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can